Throughout Europe, the forests and the wildernesses have long been seen as more than mere stretches of untamed land. They are places that seem to carry an ominous weight, where the air feels thick with the unknown. These forests, often stretching for miles with no clear boundaries, are shrouded in mysteries and fear. It's not just the dangerous animals or treacherous terrain that make these regions feared. It's the thought that once you lose your way, you may never be seen again. Similar sentiment is not limited to the old continent, but is felt in various places across the earth, often despite the cultural differences. Over time, the fear of the unknown has given rise to countless legends, echoing across cultures and generations. In each of these stories, people vanish into the wilderness, some never to be seen again, while others return forever changed. These tales share a common thread. Those who return do so with minds or bodies forever marked by the experience, and their stories are often dismissed as the ravings of the lost, too strange or horrifying to be believed. These disappearances and the eerie returns of those who survive have evolved into an array of legends. Some speculate that wilderness conceals more than just wild beasts or bandits. It is a realm where the very fabric of reality seems to break. It is as if something or someone is ensuring that these places remain untouched, protected from prying eyes. Some speak of an ancient force, an unseen guardian that stands watch over these forbidden realms. A force that might even go as far as to allow victims to return, but always altered in ways that suggest they have glimpsed something that human eye should not. These missing persons and the tales of their return are foundation of many legends. They speak of forces that we cannot understand, of dangers that lurk beyond the edge of the world, and of places that should never be sought out, for the cost of knowing what lies there is too great. While many legends focus on wild and dangerous creatures that hunt down their prey, others tell of guardians, entities that protect forbidden places, keeping intruders at bay. In European folklore, the dragon often serves as such guardian, watching over caves, treasures, towers, or paths. Similarly, trolls are said to guard bridges, their presence a barrier to those seeking paths. However, some of these guardians are not tangible, monstrous beings, but are rather unseen forces. Their unsettling nature comes not from raw power or ferocity, but from the shroud of mystery that surrounds them. These entities are veiled in the unknown, and it is this uncertainty that fuels the terror they aspire. Empowered by a human imagination, our minds conjure horrifying possibilities about what such forces might be, making them all the more terrifying. When someone is taken by the forest and later returned, changed yet alive, it is easy to believe that some higher power must be at work. But if such guardians were prevalent, we can safely assume that our ancestors did not only consider such beings guardians or guardian angels of the lost souls, but also keepers of what is hidden. The reason people return from untamed depths of the wild might be a miracle, but how? Perhaps we should ask, what is that these keepers, these unseen shades, actually protect? Do they protect something hidden, some sanctified place from the corrupted influence or humans? Or do they protect us from something even worse? To answer this question, we must view this from the perspective of the creators of such legends. Our ancestors had a deep fear of the unknown, a primal fear shared by every living being, while modern people are more frightened of what lies at the edge of the known universe. People of old were terrified of the unexplored parts of their world. The unknown is what creates places of great evil, and these places naturally spawn their own guardians. Good-natured or sinister alike, their singular purpose remains the same: to prevent access to the places not meant for mankind. Their role is not to save the intruder, but to prevent the forbidden knowledge and the horrors within from entering the known world. If people truly believed that these watchers were responsible for the safe return of their missing kin, we can safely assume that The nature of these watchers may vary, both according to the historical period when such legends were born and the region from which they originated. However, this also connects these watchers together, as the modern urban legends of such creatures in the New World will differ in shape and methods from similar watchers of the Old World. Yet, their core purpose remains the same: to keep people out of places not meant for mankind. In many stories of people who have gone missing, never to be seen again, there exists a spark of hope, the occurrence of their return. Of course, the time spent alone in the wilderness brings many dangers: scrapes, scratches, injuries from wild animals, broken limbs, malnutrition. Yet it is the condition in which these people return that truly shocks those who hear their tales. There are those who return mute, others who come back blind, and still others who appear almost unscathed. The last case might not be surprising to a skilled trapper or a hunter, but what of a child lost for days only to be found, or even stumbling back on their own into the arms of a mother who had lost almost all hope? Wouldn't such reunion be a blessing, a miracle? But what about the other two cases? Sight and speech are two of the most vital ways we perceive the world. Our eyes see what is happening, and our speech allows us to recount for it. For a person to lose these faculties and return changed is far more unsettling, while some legends say that sight might return shortly after a person is found. Those who go mute often carry this affliction for life. The inability to speak could be explained by psychological trauma, a theory that, in the absence of medical understandings, our ancestors found no better explanation for. More gruesome cases, such as when a victim's tongue is cut, ripped, or gouged out, bring with them more sinister speculations. Some suggest bandits, wishing to protect their hideout from outsiders without killing them, might have been responsible. Others point to the watchers, sacrifices, or perhaps both. But why? Why would such a higher power exist in the first place? And why would the watchers return people to the world after their encounter? To believe in the watchers would suggest that there is a reason behind their actions, a reason why they keep people from certain places, why they return them in such a state. Could it be that they are not simply protecting, but guarding something much more significant or sinister, hidden deep within the forest? It is here that the true question arises: why would a higher power be concerned with the return of these people, and why would it be so careful about what they bring back with them? What is it that these watchers are truly guarding? To answer this, we must look at the context in which such legends were born. Our ancestors, living in a world filled with untamed wilderness, had a deep, primal fear of the unknown. While modern people might look to the unexplored corners of the universe with dread, those of old feared the unexplored corners of the earth, the vast, untamable forests, caves, and mountains that could easily swallow a person whole. The unknown is a potent force, one that spawns places of great evil, and it is no surprise that such places would be guarded by something or someone, whether for the protection of mankind or to keep something darker from escaping. Good or sinister in nature, these watchers share a singular purpose: to prevent access to these forbidden places, not to save the lost souls, but to protect them, and perhaps all of humanity, from what lies there. No matter the culture, people of old were often deeply superstitious, to the point where even the slightest contact with something sinister could corrupt a person. This belief is especially prevalent in Christian superstition, where the devil is seen as a force that taints everything he touches, particularly human souls. But this concept is not unique to Christianity. Similar beliefs can be found across many cultures. Cursed objects, haunted places, and malevolent creatures are universal themes. Where better for such corruption to manifest than in the depths of a dark, unexplored, and untamed forests? But what exactly is this place? The idea of hell in its many forms naturally emerges. While the Christian concept of hell may not be universally recognized, especially in cultures unaware of Christianity, the essence of the idea transcends religious boundaries. The fear of a place so deeply sinister, so utterly dangerous that it drives people to madness or death, is shared across cultures. A place where the very air seems to warp, and those unlucky enough to venture too far never return, or if they do, they are so irrevocably broken that they can no longer speak of what they've seen. Such a place would, in a way, be considered hell by any people who believed in it. In European folklore, it was once commonly believed that deep dark caves were the gateways to such hellish realms. The implications of this are chilling. The keepers, or guardians, are not protecting humans out of kindness or desire to save them. Their role is to prevent the spread of what lies in those forsaken places. The guardian returned the lost not out of compassion, but as a grim reminder. Some places are simply not meant for human feet. The horrors that lurk there are too dangerous, too corrupting, and to allow human curiosity to spill into those realms would be to risk bringing those evils into the world of the living. The final question we must ask in order to understand these mysterious guardians is this: why is the state of their victims so significant? And why does it vary so much? The condition in which these souls return tells us a great deal about the legends surrounding them. The way these stories are framed likely depends on cultural values of the people who told them, what they feared the most, what they revered, and what they sought to explain. An unscathed victim suggests that the guardian either sheltered them or actively prevented harm from befalling them. In such cases, survivor might be considered fortunate, as if the very forces of nature, often personified as these watchers, had taken them under their protection. Such a person would return whole, seemingly untouched and unaware of any lurking horrors, oblivious to what might have happened had they strayed further. But when these stories speak of victims returning blind, even temporarily, the implication is far more unsettling. If the watcher resorted to stripping someone of their sight, it suggests that they had seen something they were never meant to witness. Perhaps they had wandered too close to a place no human should tread, and in doing so glimpsed something that would leave a lasting mark. Blinding them may not have been a punishment from the guardian, but a form of protection, not just for them, but for those who would hear their tale. This, however, raises a troubling implication. Could some watchers themselves be sinister? Perhaps not by nature, but corrupted by the horrors they were meant to guard. If a victim returned mute, especially through a gruesome injury such as torn or severed tongue, it suggests something far worse than mere misfortune. Such a person would come back as a broken husk, their mind shattered by the horrors they have witnessed, yet unable to speak what they saw. They would be forced to bear the burden of that knowledge alone. This version of the Watcher is no longer a benevolent guardian, not even a neutral force of nature. It becomes something far more disturbing, a being unwavering in its duty, yet cruel in its methods. It does not simply turn people away. It ensures that those who see too much are left suffering, unable to warn others, forced to carry the weight of their own trauma in silence. This could explain why, despite stories of the Watchers occasionally guiding lost souls back to the safety, people were always warned to stay on the path. The evil place is not just something to be avoided. It is something that, if truly known, would spread like a sickness, a curse, an infection of the mind. Perhaps the Watcher is not a keeper, but a jailer, not saving people, but containing knowledge too dangerous to escape. And the worst possibility of all, if the Watcher ever fails, what happens then? So if you ever find yourself lost in the depths of the forest, think twice before straying from the path. And if you glimpse a figure watching from the trees, something just beyond the edge of understanding, do not follow. They are not there to guide you home. They do not come to help you. They are there to turn you away, to keep you from stepping where no human should tread. And if you ignore their warning, you may not return the same, if you return at all. After all, perhaps some of those who return, those who are neither blind nor mute, were never supposed to come back at all.